Wow, it's really exciting to be here with you all. I've been thinking about this workshop for a while, and here we are. So, my name is Jess Serrante. I am a leadership coach and I work with climate leaders. And I'm really excited to give you this tool that we're going to go through together tonight. But before we do that, I want to just tell you a little bit about who I am and what led me to being here with you all in this workshop tonight. So, um, I have been a climate activist since 2007. I started off as a student organizer and then went on to work at organizations like Greenpeace and Rainforest Action Network. So my roots in climate work are really in campaigning and in organizing. And then about 9 years ago, I was in a moment that many of us in this movement experience of burnout and of asking some big existential questions about what my purpose is in the world amid this big, overwhelming problem that is the climate crisis. And it was during that time that I discovered coaching. And I fell in love with coaching as a practice because I could really feel the incredible power and potential that it had to support activists and organizers, folks like myself and my friends and my comrades, to do our work effectively and in a way that really lights us up, because we deserve to be lit up by this incredibly brave and important work that we do. So I've been coaching ever since for the last 9 years. So I got into this work because of my firsthand experience and just how important and challenging climate leadership is. And now it is my distinct privilege to get to spend my days with folks like you, the leaders and thinkers and activists at the helm of our ever-growing movement. So right now, some of the ways that my work looks is that I run a program called the Feminine Climate Leadership Coaching Group, which I'll share some details in our follow-up email if you're interested in that. And I'm also working on a very exciting new to me project. I'm making a podcast called We Are the Great Turning with my mentor, Joanna Macy, who some of you may have heard about. So yeah, that's what I want to say about who I am. And it's just, I don't take it for granted that you all are here tonight, that you've chosen to spend your precious time this late afternoon or evening or whatever time it is, wherever you are, that you've chosen to spend this time together with me and with everybody else in this space. So in the next 75 minutes or so, I'm going to give you a coaching tool that is one of the most powerful tools in my toolbox. And I really want you to get everything that you can from this workshop. And so to do that, presence and participation are going to be the key. If you would, if you're not already, please put gallery view up on your screen for a moment so you can click the little grid of boxes in the right-hand corner so that you can see all of the faces of the people who are here with you. And there's a lot of us, so you might click through that little arrow so that you can get a chance to really look at the faces of the people that are here tonight. And I see some smiles showing up on folks' faces. Yeah, like this group of people, y'all, this is your team. Maybe you know these people, maybe you don't. But these folks that are here with us tonight are leaders and activists of all kinds from around the world who are working with you, with us, to create a more just future and stable climate. I'm sure with the diversity of folks here tonight, we've got activists and healers and artists and campaigners and scientists, like people who are approaching how we solve this problem together from all different avenues. So I point this out to you because as you participate tonight, first, I just want to invite you to remember that you're in really good company, like really good company. Even though most of the way that we're going to interact with one another is through the chat, to just know that. And to remember that the way that you interact and participate in this workshop tonight will impact not just your own life, but also those of the people in the room, because this is a collective experience that we're here to have together. So there are a few small things that you can do to really help yourself and help your team get the most out of this workshop. So first is just to put away any distractions. If you're anything like me, you've got like 50 tabs open on your computer. You can like close that, put them away, silence your phone, give yourself the gift of really being present for the next hour and change. Second is to participate in the chat. So there'll be a lot of moments tonight where I'll ask you questions. They're not rhetorical questions, just answer in the chat and I'll remind you. And then third is if you're able to be on camera so that we can feel and see each other while we're going through this experience together tonight. All right. So what I'd like to do now is lead us in a little bit of centering. So if you would, close your eyes or turn your eyes away from the screen or just away from the computer and feel the weight of your body against the chair or the ground where you are. Feel the solidity of the earth beneath you. Can you feel how stable it is, this earth that sustains you, that sustains us and gives us our precious lives? So I invite you to call to my mind as vividly as you can one aspect of being alive on earth that you love. So it might be a specific place or a being, maybe it's a person or an animal or a plant, or maybe it's an experience like looking at the stars or feeling your body in the ocean. But bring to mind a vivid mental image, and you might search your mind to see if there's a smell or a taste or a feeling that you associate with this aspect of life that you love so much, and just bask in it for a moment. So think for yourself or in your mind what it is that you are grateful for about this one aspect of life, of this aspect of being alive on earth. What are you grateful for? And then when you're ready, open your eyes and in the chat, share a few words about what it is that you're grateful for. Oh, horses smell. I love that. Kinship. My children sitting in the sun. Ooh, cold mountain water on a hot day. Yes. Oh, wow. This is beautiful. I can't even keep up. Spring breeze, laying on my back in a lake. Yes. Awesome. Good. So Earth is our motivation and our muse in this work together. And it feels nice, doesn't it, to have that all the gifts of living on this planet present, or many of them present in the space. So the tool that I'm going to give you tonight is something that we call standards of integrity. So I learned this tool from Dr. Maria Nemeth, who created it and who was my longtime mentor and coach. And I have used this tool with almost every single client who I've worked with over the 9 years that I've been a coach. So let's talk about what standards of integrity mean, what it means. So your standards of integrity are a list of qualities that reflect who you are and what your values are, okay? These are values that can guide you to see and show up as your whole and complete self in the ways that you act, organize, love, be with your people, move your body, whatever it is that you're doing, right? These are values that can guide you to align your actions with what matters most to you. So the slide says they're a blueprint for success, because when you know what your standards of integrity are and you use them as a guide, you can use them as a guide to live a life that is really in alignment with your values, which is really satisfying, right? So when we act in alignment with our standards of integrity, we experience satisfaction and fulfillment. And when we're out of alignment with them, we often experience something akin to frustration. It's not fun to be out of alignment with who we are. So this is part of your job tonight is to uncover your standards of integrity so that you can use them and live them in how you contribute to our world in this time. So before we dive into discovering your standards of integrity, which we're going to do in just a moment, I want to just say a little bit about why this matters so much to me to be doing this with you tonight. As climate leaders, we're literally in the business of transforming our society in service of life. This is sacred work, right? It's essential, and it's life-saving work. It's so dear what you all do. And I know that I don't need to tell you that it can also be challenging and uncertain and even scary at times to do this work, right? So, like in the intro to All We Can Save, Catherine and Ayana say something along the lines of the climate crisis is a leadership crisis. And I'm fully on board with them in that. It means so much to me to be here with you all talking about leadership tonight, because I truly believe that what we need in the midst of a society that so often does not reflect our values, that what we need is leaders who have a really strong sense of who they are and what they value, and know how to embody those values even in the midst of the heartbreak and the hard work that comes with doing what we do. We all know people, I'm sure you can think of people who just radiate their values in the way that they live, right? Folks who just like shine their brilliance or their love or their passion into the world. And it's moving to be with folks like that, right? So I'm giving you this tool tonight because I think that this is one of the most simple and powerful ways that I know to support you to lead in that way, so that you can be a beacon of the things that matter most to you and lead with, to lead with integrity. So you can lead with your values. So are you ready? Do you want to know what your standards of integrity are? I promise it's not that hard. It's much simpler than it seems like it might be. Okay. Great. So I'm going to give Amy a moment to pull up our slides.
Yes.
So if you haven't already, while we're waiting for the slide, this is a good moment to grab that piece of paper and pen. So on your piece of paper, draw a line down the middle, horizontally, and then across the top. And you're going to make 2 columns. So on the left, you're going to label your column, people I admire. And then on the right, the qualities I admire in them. And I'm going to walk you through this step by step. So I just want to say you can totally do it digitally. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to walk you through this step by step, and I promise I'm going to give you plenty of time to follow the instructions on your own. So listen, and then we're going to pause, and everybody's going to get a chance to take each step, okay? So everybody's got their 2 columns. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a list of people who have qualities that we admire, somewhere between 4 and 6 people. And the people that you choose, they don't have to be perfect. Okay, you don't have to admire everything about them. And they can be folks who, well, they could be folks who you admire at least one thing about, right? And that's great. So they can be folks who are alive, they can be dead, they can be folks you know, folks you don't, they can even be fictional characters. So you can get creative here. So first watch me, I'm gonna make my list. So at the top of my list is my Aunt Annie, who is my godmother. She's in the room here somewhere tonight, which is such a gift to me. She is my longtime mentor and confidant. So Annie's first, and then I'm gonna add my mentor and collaborator, Joanna Macy, who I have the privilege of working very closely with right now. Next, I'm going to move on to some folks who I actually don't know. So I haven't yet had the privilege of meeting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, though I hope that'll happen someday. But I just love watching her go, and I have since she came onto the scene. So AOC, and then another person who I admire, who I don't know, is Robin Wall Kimmerer, who wrote this book, Braiding Sweetgrass, that totally changed my worldview, rocked me. I love that book. And then last, I'm going to add my coaching mentor, Beth Ann Suggs. So I've got my list. And now I'm going to give you a chance to make your own. So 4 to 6 people. I'm going to give you about 90 seconds. So go ahead and make your list. All right, you've got about 30 seconds. All right, give me a thumbs up when you have your list. Okay. All right, I think it looks like we're mostly complete. Great. Okay, so let's move on to the next step. So again, follow me. I'll give you plenty of time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start at the top of my list, and I'm going to ask myself what the qualities are that I admire in this first person. Okay, and a quality, we're going to write it in adjective form, right? So there's some examples on the screen. So I'm going to ask myself, what are the qualities that I admire in who Annie is? Annie is soulful. So I'm going to add that to my column on the right. I'm going to be listing them vertically. Annie is also playful, and she's intuitive, and she's really wise. So there's more qualities than this that I could use to describe my aunt, but these are the ones that really stand out to me. So that's why I'm putting these qualities down. All right. So now I'm going to give you a moment to do the same thing. Go ahead. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to list the qualities of the first person on your list. So go ahead and do that. All right. Okay. You ready to move on? You got a thumbs up? Folks ready? You got your first list of qualities? Okay. Good. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the next person on my list. So that's Joanna. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with Annie. I'm just going to ask myself, what are the qualities that I admire in Joanna? And one of the things that I admire the most about Joanna is that she is a visionary. So I'm going to add that to the bottom of my list. Okay. And there are also, Joanna is also some of the qualities that I already wrote down for Annie. So what I'm going to do, rather than adding those qualities again, I'm just going to put a little check mark next to each quality that I see in Joanna also. Okay. So I know I see some pens rocking. Just stay with me, y'all, so that we'll give you plenty of time in a couple minutes to complete your whole list. I just want you to see how I do it first. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the next person on my list. So now I'm going to move on to AOC. Perfect. And you'll see that what I added to the list is that I see AOC as bold, and I see her as incredibly compassionate, as well as some of the other qualities. So I put some check marks up at soulful and playful and visionary, because she is also, I also see her as those things. All right. And so you're probably now starting to get a hang of this, right? You know where I'm going from here. So I'm going to move a little faster, but I'm going to move on to the next person on my list. I'm going to move on to Robin Wall Kimmerer, and I'm going to add rooted to the bottom of my list. So one of the ways that I see Robin, and then again, check marks. And then again, I'm going to go down to Beth Ann and do the same thing again, adding some new qualities. Beth Ann is generous and fiercely loving. Okay, so now it's your turn. We're going to give you 5 minutes now, ample time to go through and complete your list of qualities. So we're going to put some music on, and I'll give you a warning at about 1 minute. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat and I'll answer that way. All right, so go to it. Okay, y'all, you have about a minute left. All right. So can I get just a wave if you are not done with your list? Okay, great. Okay, so most of you you've done this before, so I trust you can catch up. All right, great. So here's what we're going to do next. We are going to refine our list. So if you have a second piece of paper, grab that now. And what we're going to do is, well, first I want you to leave room at the top and the bottom of your page. So we're going to refine our list, and we're aiming to get your list down to ideally no more than 12 qualities. If it happens to go over, don't worry about it. Don't stress. But if we can, that's what we're going to shoot for. And the first thing we're going to do to refine this list is we're going to ask ourselves the question, do I love to be around folks who are demonstrating this quality? Right? Like, does it warm my heart to be in the presence of this quality? So this, again, watch me. This is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to go from the top of my list, and I'm going to ask myself that question. So do I love being around someone who is soulful? Yes. So soulful gets moved over to my new list. Do I love being around people who are playful? Definitely. It's going to get moved over. And I'm going to keep going down my list. Intuitive, yes. Wise, yes. Visionary, bold, compassionate, yes. But when I get to rooted, there's something about that word that I really love. It's why I put it down, but it doesn't quite have that same sort of buoyant energy to me. So I'm going to leave rooted on the original list. I'm not going to add it. And then I'm going to keep going. So generous, yes, and fiercely loving, yes. Okay. So that's the first step. And then there's something else that I'm noticing, which is that there's a quality that feels like it belongs on this list, a quality that I love being around, which is people who are creative. And so I'm going to just add it. I'm going to add it to the bottom of the list because I love being around people who are creative. All right. And so that's what everybody's going to do. And if you are like me the first time I did this exercise and you have like 25 qualities written down, don't worry. Here's what I'm going to invite you to do is just look at your list and look for any places where there might be some energetic redundancy, right? Like maybe you have fun and playful written down and they mean more or less the same thing. So if you have that, just pick the quality, move over the quality that has more energy for you. And if you can't decide because they mean something different to you and they both really matter, then move them both over. Like I said, if you go over 12, not the end of the world by any means. All right. So now I'm going to give you about a minute and a half to refine your list. So go ahead and do that. All right, y'all. So hopefully you have a new list by now. And if you don't, just, I'm going to talk for a minute so you can go ahead or we're going to chat together for a minute so you can go ahead and just finish while we're doing that. But so I want to ask you all to let me know in the chat, what is it like for you to read your qualities? What's it like now that you see this list? Let me know in the chat. I see myself, says Rissa. Aspirational. I try to embody them. What else? What's it like for you? Anything goes. Feels clarifying, inspiring, safe, beautiful, powerful, emotional. Yeah, I feel that. Gratitude, says Jessica. Awesome. Yeah, great. So there's something just really sweet about looking at this list of qualities, right? So it feels this way. It feels so good. And I also want to say that if it doesn't just feel easy, if there's something that contracts or a little or feels worry about it, that's okay too, right? Sometimes that might be a little harder to share in the chat, but that's all right if that's what you're experiencing. So these qualities are your standards of integrity. Okay, this is important. This list of qualities, Amy, if you could take the slides down, that'd be great. Thank you. So this is who you are, y'all. Take that, drink that in for a moment. It's pretty cool, right? This is you. It's not just an aspiration. It's not just what you aspire to be. This is who you are as a person and as a leader. So here's how I know that this is you. First of all, these qualities came from you. No one here knows what people you wrote down, let alone what qualities you wrote for them, right? And if someone in this group happened to write down the same person as you, it's very likely that the qualities that they admire in them that they wrote down might be different from the ones that you did. So these came entirely from inside you. All words are metaphors, right? Like they're just our best way at capturing something about life that is otherwise intangible. So these words that are on the list in front of you, these capture the meaning of qualities that resonate inside you. That qualities that light you up when you see them or when you feel them in your presence. The one way that we could think about this is like, so if I say to you that I love the color blue, then I must have some sort of mental model in my mind of what blue means, right? So it's the same thing if I say to you, I love being around someone who is compassionate. I can say that because I must know, I must have a mental model for what compassionate is, right? So it's that mental model that allows me to see compassion in other people, and also that allows me to demonstrate compassion in the world. You see that? So really let this in, that this is you. These are the qualities of who you are. So I want to hear again from you in the chat. What is it like for you to hear that this is you? Anything goes. What's it like to hear me say that? Reaffirming, says Liv. Relief. Validating. Part of me is happy, but part is judging. Yeah, I know that feeling. I almost feel resistance. Yep. Yeah, so that's really normal. That upon looking at these qualities, that some worry might come up. No, that can't possibly be me. That's for someone else. Right? I aspire to be that way, but that's not who I am. If you're having any thoughts like that, hesitance, resistance, that is okay. So all I want to invite you to do, if you're noticing some of those thoughts, any worry thoughts, is just to soften and open your heart and just consider that this might be you, that it might be who you are. All right. Oh, I love this. Zoe says it's easier to love these parts of myself and recognize them when I first got to see them in the people that I love. That's beautiful. Yeah. So here's one of the things that I really love about standards of integrity. It's like, so now you have this list of qualities that describe you. And the gift of that, the privilege of that, is simply that now you get to go forth and demonstrate them. You get to give these qualities to the world in the way that you organize and act and interact with the people that you love or with the people that you don't, right? You get to offer these as your gift to the world, where you'll get to experience fulfillment and satisfaction by giving them regardless of how things play out, right? There's so much that's unpredictable in our work as climate leaders. When you align your actions with these qualities, you'll be leading with integrity no matter what it is that you're facing. So in a moment, we're going to put you in breakouts. But before we do that, I just want to share a quote from one of my heroes, Terry Tempest Williams, which you'll see I took a small liberty with. This is from Terry's book, Erosion. She says, by paying attention to what is real and true and authentic, we come home to ourself, the person we truly are. We remember what we may have forgotten. The world is so beautiful in spite of the troubles. So this is true for us here tonight. By paying attention to what's real and what's true and what's authentic in the world around us, we get to see who we really are. We get to see our standards of integrity. And these standards of integrity are an invitation to bring each of us home to ourselves, to who we really are. And by knowing them and by demonstrating them, which we're going to talk more about how to do that after the breakouts, you get the privilege of offering your beauty, your brilliance, your power to the world, even in spite of your and the world's troubles. So I just want to like pause for a moment and just like let that let that settle. So one more thing before we do breakouts. So you have your list, right, of qualities. And you might remember that I asked you to leave space open and at the top and at the bottom. So what I want to invite you to do now is at the top of your list of qualities, your new list, is to write, these are my standards of integrity. I am. And then you'll have your list of qualities in the middle, just like my card here on the page. And then at the bottom, right, I know these are mine because I see them in others. And Annie, I see your comment in the chat about how do I keep these up even when I'm disappointed, right? Even when the world is not necessarily what I want it to be. And we're going to talk about how you can use these even in the midst of what we don't love or what's challenging us on the other side of this breakout. So we're going to talk about that. Okay, so now that you've got that on your card, make sure you write that down. We're going to move into breakouts. So I'm going to give you some instructions, and Amy's going to drop all the instructions into the chat so that you'll have them with you. So when you get into your room, first, so we're gonna put you in groups of 2 or 3, for about 9 minutes. And you'll need to use your time attentively. 9 minutes is gonna like go like that in a group of 3. It's gonna go so fast. So that's why these instructions are important. So the first thing, you're gonna go in, you're gonna say hello, share your names, share where you are. Then you're gonna do a go around, taking turns, reading your standards of integrity card from the top, nice and slow. So just like this, you're gonna, when it's your turn, you'll say, these are my standards of integrity. You can hear the birds, that's great. These are my standards of integrity. I am soulful, wise, intuitive, playful, and da, 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 da. You're gonna read your whole list though. I'm just saving us time right here. And then you'll say, the end of the card, I know these are mine because I see them in others. So I want you to go, as you read this, slow enough that you can really feel what you're saying. You can feel each quality. I am soulful, wise, intuitive. Okay? So you know, like give yourself the space to really let it in. There can be sometimes a little temptation because it's vulnerable to do this, to kind of rush through them. And if you notice that you may want to add some disclaimers like, well, I don't know if my list is done yet or anything like that, just notice that, smile at it, set it aside, right? It can be uncomfortable to declare who you are with 2 totally new people. But here's the thing. Consider this practice an essential skill for navigating the climate crisis. The skill of truly owning the power and beauty that you hold and sharing it generously with the world. I truly do not believe that we can transform society without leaders standing courageously and bravely in their strengths, even amidst any of the worries and doubts that may come up. about who they are. So you get to practice that right now. So you're going to read nice and slow. And when you're the person who's listening, your job is just to listen with love and compassion. See that the person who's sharing, that this is really who they are, and celebrate them, right? Give them encouragement. And if they're rushing, you can invite them to slow down. And when they finish, you can say whatever you want to say just to briefly acknowledge them, something along the lines of, thank you for sharing who you are with me. Okay, however it comes naturally to you. And then you'll switch to the next person. And then when you're done, this will probably be about 3 to 4 minutes into your breakout. You'll have the rest of the time just to chat together about what it was like to share. Okay, and what it was like to listen to each other. Okay, so we're ready to send you out. We will see you in about 9 minutes. All right, welcome back, everyone. I see some real sweet smiles on people's faces, so I trust that means you had a good time with each other. So if you would just, and some nods, great. So if you would just share in one word in the chat, what was it like to be in that breakout? What was it like to be with each other? Supportive, liberating, inspiring, connecting, supportive, validating, connecting, expansive, awesome. Ugh, good. All right, we're doing something right here. So in our last couple minutes, you can keep those coming, but in our last couple minutes, I'm going to walk you through 2 simple ways that you can use your standards of integrity. So something to remember about this is that your standards of integrity are a tool, right? So just like any tool, it's useful to you to the extent that you use it. So I want you to find ways to be in relationship with this list of qualities after our workshop is long over, because that is the thing that will make the biggest difference. The difference between this being a workshop that was nice to be in one day and something that you remember for a long time and that actually has a meaningful, tangible difference, makes a meaningful, tangible difference in your life. So the first thing that I recommend you doing is making a card with your standards of integrity on them. So you'll see on the screen, this is an image of watercolor that I made of my own that I keep on my desk. And I keep copies of this sort of all over. So you can put Post-its on your bathroom, on your bathroom mirror, on your computer, on your fridge, wherever you're going to look at them. So you can be in relationship with these qualities and remember what they are. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that I'm going to walk you through a practice right now that I do often and have done many, many times over the last 9 years that I've known my standards of integrity, that you can use to help you lead with integrity. So the first thing is to think of something in your life where you would love a little more clarity or ease. So you might think of something in your leadership. Maybe there's something that's been bugging you, or that maybe there's a dream that you've been wanting to take action on, or a situation that's challenging. So I'll think of my own example is, like I said earlier, I'm working on a podcast right now with my mentor, and we've been recording for months, but now it's time for me to start actually writing the scripts, and I'm freaking out. And I'm procrastinating because it's really scary to take this thing that means so much to me and start to bring it into the world. So that's something that I could use a little more ease with. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a moment to think of an example like that for yourself. Any place that you'd love a little more ease, a little more clarity. Okay, and if you'd like, you can drop it in the chat for each of these steps. Just call to mind one example. All right, you got one? All right. So once you have that example, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my standards of integrity. I'm going to look at this amazing list of qualities, and I'm going to pick one or two qualities that I would love to bring to this situation. So to take it back to my example, I'm going to look at my standards of integrity, and a quality that I would really love to bring to this situation that I'm in with the podcast project is compassion. I could really use being a bit more compassionate and gentle with myself. So now it's your turn. Take a look and drop it in the chat when you see it. Don't overthink it. Just trust your gut. What's one standard of integrity that you would love to bring to this situation? And go ahead and put it in the chat. Open-minded, kind, truth-telling. Great. What else? Confidence, loving, affectionate. Beautiful. Great. Okay, so you have your qualities. Awesome. So now here's the best part, in my opinion. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask myself a very simple question. I'm going to ask myself, given this situation, what would someone who has this quality do next? All right, so given where I am with this podcast, what would someone who is compassionate do next? Okay. And then I'm going to take a breath. What would someone who is compassionate do next? And then the final step is I'm going to listen for an answer. And sometimes the answer comes right away. And sometimes I need to ask a few times. You can bring number 4 in, Amy. So you're going to listen for an answer and take that step. So for me, when I ask myself, what would someone who's compassionate do next? The first simple thing that comes to mind is someone who is compassionate would let themselves take baby steps on this thing that is scary and new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a promise to myself to set aside 20 minutes tomorrow so that I can do a little writing in my journal somewhere that I can be outside. That's the compassionate next step. Okay. So now take a look for yourself. So I invite you to all, rather than seeing this theoretically, look at this in this moment for yourself. How would you love to demonstrate your standard of integrity? And by when? And go ahead and put that in the chat. All right. So since we are coming toward the end of our time, I'm going to keep rolling with the last couple things that we want to do to wrap up. But let that question simmer. Okay, what's the thing that you want to do? And I want to invite you to share it in the chat, to share and declare what your next step is. This is your first time for many of you practicing using your standards of integrity. So congratulations on seeing a way to demonstrate who you are and what your values are. And feel free to, through the rest of our time, keep sharing that as it comes to mind. So our time is coming to an end, y'all, and it's been such a treat to be with you. So I just want to invite you to stay in touch with me. And here are a few ways. So if you are on Instagram, you can follow me at Jess_Serrante. I'm not wildly active, but when I'm offering new things, new workshops and programs and coaching, and you'll see things posted there. And that's also a great way to be directly in touch, so you can DM me, and I would love to chat with you after this if you'd like that. You can subscribe to my newsletter to get updates on the work that I'm doing, on coaching, on the podcast, on whatever else I decide that I want to share through that. And then if you are interested in getting coaching, you can check out the Feminine Climate Leadership Coaching Group. And the next cohort for that starts in June. So I would love to chat with any of you here who are interested in that about the program. There's still a few spots open. And we'll send all of that to you in the follow-up email if you didn't catch it, but it's also in the chat. So let's close with what I like to call golden nuggets. And what I mean by this is essentially like, what's the thing, the little gem of wisdom that you're going to take and carry with you into your life after we close this Zoom room? What is your bottom line takeaway? If you would share that in the chat, we'll read some of them out loud. Bottom line, what is your takeaway from today? What are you getting from this? I am who I am, even when I don't know it. Qualities I'm attracted to are in me. There's so much within us that we can unearth if we stay curious. Yes. Acceptance of who I am. That's beautiful. Yeah. I like it takes one to see one. Yes. All right. Well, thank you all so much for being here. Your presence is palpable. You've been so present with me and with the group, and it's been such a joy to be with you and to discover your standards of integrity with you. And I'm feeling in this moment this like longing to hear your voices. So please do reach out if you would like to stay in touch, or share any thoughts or reflections from this. We're going to close with a quote from one more of my heroes. We've called a lot of them in tonight. And so this is from the brilliant Audre Lorde. She said, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid." So go forth, be powerful, use your strengths and your gifts in service of our shared vision for climate justice. The world needs you to be generous with your brilliance and with your beauty. And just thank you all so much for what you do. Have a wonderful night. And if you want, we can unmute everybody so that we can say goodbye. Ciao.
Thank you, Jess.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Gracias.
Thank you. It was beautiful.
Thank
Bye,
you so much.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.